Thank you. Thank you.
So one more question from you, Mr Caulfield, a brief one if that's okay, then I want to move on to the formal resolutions for the meeting.
Thank you. I would just like to push back on that a little. I don't think it's fair. You did ask a question, you know, is everyone reasonable for us to move on to the next resolution? In 100 years of Suncorp, or whatever the history is, separating the Suncorp Bank from Suncorp Insurance, what other events have been bigger than that? We need to debate this. You know, most of your answers are no, I'm sorry I can't talk about this, I'm sorry there's a legal process. We heard through Ms Bain relaying questions that people were concerned about it. We've heard over here people are concerned about it. The ASA, through all of their millions of shares, represent are concerned about it. My people are concerned about there's not enough being discussed. I feel as if you're trying to let's whitewash through this and let's get to our cup of tea that's been mentioned 3 times. I love a cup of tea, but I come here and people have travelled from interstate and flown here for these things. I think we need a bit more time, and I've been to many AGMs that go a lot longer than this.
This AGM can go for as long as it needs to, Mr Caulfield. All I'm saying is there's nothing more that I can say at this meeting around the sale of the bank.
There may be nothing more you can say, but I think the shareholders can register either their protests or concerns, and there may be some questions that you can answer.
Well, if there are other questions from other shareholders who have not had an opportunity to speak, I assure you that I will hear from them.
The competition watchdog, in rejecting ANZ's takeover of Suncorp Bank customers, cited Big Four banks taking over small banks as a threat to competition. My earlier recommendation to float the bank, or indeed with the previous gentleman merge with Bendigo, responds to the regulator's concerns. Merging Suncorp into Bendigo would create a 5th pillar. Macquarie Bank's growing organically at such a rate, it's only a matter of time. 6 years, they'll become a 6th pillar. 6 pillars policy created from a Bendigo merger that you could start, that you could instigate, will increase competition, better protect Suncorp Bank customers than ANZ by far, and benefit all of Australians. My question is, will the Suncorp directors reconsider merging with Bendigo, noting that the watchdog's already likely to approve this? Now, you did mention before in response to a question that Suncorp has a plan post-ANZ, should it fail, for organic growth, for your own organic growth. That's excellent. So clearly you've discussed plans post-ACCC if they reject it. So is carving off the 2 different divisions and is considering Bendigo an option? Or has ANZ imposed, you know, some silencing condition over you?
Thanks, Mr Caulfield. We have got a legally binding agreement with ANZ, which is subject to 3 approvals, which I mentioned earlier. We are going through the Australian Competition Tribunal process now. The ACCC and indeed the tribunal cannot force Suncorp into any sort of regional tie-up. The application is an ANZ application for competition approval. And the role of the Australian Competition Tribunal is to consider the effects on competition of the proposed sale to ANZ, as well as the public benefits. We are obviously going to work methodically through the tribunal process based on the evidence, as our CEO said, much of which is already on the public record, the ACCC submissions, and you can look at those to understand the thinking applied by your board in looking at the various alternatives before we made the decision to sell the bank to ANZ.
I've looked at the ACCC. In fact, my submission was the last public submission to be entered, so I know the ACCC website very well, and all of the submissions that are there. I don't think the submissions, albeit, Mr Johnson, that you've got multiple submissions there, I don't think there's enough care and diligence from all of the directors looking at how the customers will be treated at ANZ. You know, I've been a customer of ANZ for 42 years.
Can I ask the CEO of our bank, Clive Van Horen, who is leading a customer-obsessed team, just to make a couple of comments around servicing of bank customers now and going forward. And then, Mr Caulfield, I'm actually going to move to microphone number 1 because Mr Sanderson has another question.
Thanks, Mr Caulfield. Yeah, you know, I won't speak on behalf of ANZ, but some of the facts are ANZ has
spending $4.9 billion, which is a lot of money, nearly $5 billion to buy Suncorp Bank. They have stated publicly on the record repeatedly that they're buying Suncorp Bank because there are many good things about Suncorp Bank, and as the chair referred to, a big part of what we've done at Suncorp Bank is to try and focus on our customers and drive that customer obsession culture. And ANZ's CEO said repeatedly, and remind you as well, that the current leadership of ANZ is not the leadership that managed the Landmark acquisition many years ago. The CEO said repeatedly that one of the reasons they're buying Suncorp Bank is because of the strength that we have, the strength around our customer relationships, the strength of our customer obsession. And spending $5 billion, I don't think it's very rational to say spend $5 billion for something and then to destroy that. So I think that is an important statement of commitment and intent that ANZ has made, and I probably shouldn't say any more on their behalf other than what they've said publicly.
Thanks, Clive. And